Okay, so it's when crit power. Crit power.
Hey everyone, this is Curb and I bring you another standard match. Today we're going to be taking a look at one of the new decks released in Lyrical 4. Of course, this is myself on the left playing Fenelle, one of the 3 new decks released in, as I said, Lyrical 4. And it is a very fun and maybe semi-competitive deck. We'll have to see with this video. It's going to be going up against the age-old Ava at this point. She's just been around for so long, and I guess people are still kind of trying to cope on her. But you know, I still think Ava's a solid deck. It's what it does is still good. You just have to be able to pilot it really well. But anyways, let's get into the match itself. I am going to be getting second tier. I'm going to be riding into the grade 1 Fenelle, which on ride is going to allow me to check top 7 and add up to 2 Trick and Treat to my hand. Of course, going to be able to get 2 copies. And of course, as a double note for those of you who are not aware, Trick and Treat is one of those rare cards that you can actually play 16 copies of in the deck. Of course, going to draw before going second. Then just going to go ahead and shotgun Trick and Treat here. The first skill, you get different skills depending on how many times you've played it this turn. The one is just going to be your opponent chooses one of the rear guards. They either bot deck it or you draw a card. Since my opponent has no rear guards, I'm just going to go ahead and draw a card. So the order on all 3 placements always replaces itself, so you don't actually minus when you play the order, but sometimes you just won't plus, like if the opponent decides to just, you know, give you the bot deck rear guard, which is still pretty powerful because, you know, it doesn't go to drop, so Stoicheia is like kind of angry with that, and there are still some things, like especially in this deck, you got Combine Rusher who wants to be in the drop zone, and if that gets bot decked, well, I guess you just lose access to it. Anyways, we do see Ava riding into the grade 2 here, opting to search out the grade 3 order there. Maybe we already had another copy of the grade 2. I don't know how many you play in Ava. I think usually you just play 2 of the grade 1, and then like 4 of the Blue Research Lab. But it looks like we do have the grade 1 coming out there. It's going to be swinging at the Vanguard. Just going to be taking that, hitting into an Obfuscate there. My first damage. Of course, Fenelle is actually one of those decks where you do need to have 1 CB on your first turn. As we will see in just a moment here. Right into the grade 2 Fenelle. That's going to be allowing me to search the top 7. Once again, it has the same skill as the grade 1, but unfortunately we do kind of whiff there. From what I've noticed with a bunch of play hands, if you want to play the deck at its best, you probably want to play 12 of the orders, but if you want to be able to hit it very consistently off the ride line, you should probably play 14. Anyways, I am going to be calling this grade 1 Crispina. She is basically a order package card. On place, you CV1, search out the specific order, and then she gets an extra 5k if you have 3 orders in the drop zone, unlike the other one, which you need to play 1. Of course, going to be playing another Trick and Treat, kind of just replacing itself. I discard a Trick and Treat for ride deck, so that is going to be putting a total of 3 in the drop zone, so I have access to a 13k attacker basically for free. Going to be calling out the Dog Girl. She's also a very nice card, although you don't really want to see too many copies of her. 1 is just good enough in rotation. Going to be swinging for 23. It is going to be an on hit, and my opponent is going to be letting it hit because I suppose they want to be able to use both of Ava's skills during the next turn. Honestly, I don't know if you should have just given me that attack, free plus there, because, you know, I don't know. It's deck thinning, and basically I need that card for my next turn, but you can see my hand is completely stacked. I think I already had 3 orders, so it didn't matter that much, but at the same time you're letting me deck thin, which is, I don't know about that, man. But I guess, I don't know if the 2CB is worth it. Ava players, you can go ahead and judge him in the comments, but please be kind, be courteous. Everyone is at different levels. Anyways, playing the Blue Research Lab there, getting a Combine Rusher off there, and I'm thinking, I sure hope he chooses to bot deck that. But even if he doesn't, I still get a draw card. And using the Ava skill here, of course, counterbalancing 1, checking the top 3, adding 1 card, putting the rest on the bottom. Of course, Ava is getting another extra 5k, so she's going to be powering up. Let's see what else we have here. So we only have the Combine Rusher, which is just going to be a 10k attack right now. It only gets an extra 10k when it attacks a grade 3 unit, which obviously I don't have any because I'm at grade 2. Using the blue research lab here, going to be Soul Blasting the one, giving the Ava the extra 5k, which is definitely viable. It kind of ensures that Ava's going to hit. I mean, it was probably going to hit either way, even without it. Although I do have that front trigger in my hand, so I could have just played that for a 1 card 2 to pass. But now that the Ava's at 23, I'm not going to be guarding that at all. You could have given the power to either this second Ava or the Combine Rusher to make it like a nice magic number, but you know, it is what it is. So Ava's going to be swinging in. I'm obviously just going to be intercepting because one of the unironically, one of the weaknesses of Fenelle is that you want to get a lot of stuff in the drop zone, but one, you have no way to mill, and you have no way to kill your own rear guards unless you overcall them, because both of Fenelle's rear guards are on-place skills, but, you know, you want to call them in the early game somewhat. So I'm going to be hitting into a critical trigger here, giving the crit to the Ava, and then, of course, the power to the Combine Rusher. I believe you didn't realize that it had that skill. I'm actually going to be getting double defensive here, one of them being a heal trigger, so I'm going to be staying at 2. Because we gave the power to the Combine Rusher, we're not actually going to be able to hit with either of these columns, which, I don't know. I think actually giving the powers to Combine Rusher, I think, was correct there. You should just account for, like, maybe 1 defensive, but there's not really anything you can do to account for 2 defensive triggers there. Like, if I had hit only 1, both of these attacks hit and still hit for good numbers, so I think that was definitely the right call. If you wanted to play it safe, you could have given it to Obfuscate, just, like, kind of guarantee that 2 damage there, but at the same time, if I got 1 defensive, that would have been a 15k, and if I got 2, it would have still just been a 5k. Anyways, riding into the grade 3 Fenelle, so I am now able to play 3 orders from my hand during this turn. Of course, I am going to be starting off with the Crispin, I guess, because we want to deck thin, make sure that if we do draw off the Trick and Treats, which we're going to be drawing at least 1 card, maybe 2, we want to make sure that we're not drawing into extra copies, although you do eventually want to draw into them, but you also want to be able to search them out, because the grade 2 only searches from deck. Crispin does actually let you search from drop, so she is one of your good late game cards. I'm going to be using the Trick and Treat. My opponent is going to opt to bot deck the Obfuscate, which is, I won't say it's a bad decision, because you can still call Obfuscate from the deck. Like, it's not a big deal, but the only difference that it's really making is that, you know, you're losing on 10k shield, and but at this point you're at 2. You probably are going to intercept with Obfuscate anyway, but you are, I guess you are also getting rid of a good attacker. But Combine Rusher is still pretty good too. It's a 20k during this next turn, so I don't know. I'm not an Ava player, but anyways, I'm going to be using the second order there. You saw me countercharge, draw a card, and then of course playing the third one allows you to revive something from the drop zone. Just going to be reviving that dog girl, and then when she's placed, since I played 3 orders, I am going to be able to Soul Blast 1 and call something. Like I said, one of the issues with this deck is that you can't really fill up your drop zone with good units, so I am just going to be Soul Blasting out my grade 2 from the ride line and then calling it back. It's an extra 5k shield, and it's probably the best thing that I have in the drop zone for the moment. But anyway, swinging the Vanguard, when she swings, you get an extra 2k for every Trick and Treat in your drop zone. So since I have 7 right now, it's going to be an extra 14k to my entire front row. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to make a good threshold. These are going to be like 37 swings, which is still just a 25k guard. Oh, and she does also give an extra critical to 2 units, herself and 1 rear guard. So this is the very fun Fennel situation where they're at 4. I'm swinging for 2 damage. Okay, you have to guard this, but this other attack is a on hit, so you have to decide, do I'm going to take 2 damage, or I'm going to let them get an on hit. So I'm going to swing a 37. I considered maybe damage denying here, or like, because it doesn't really matter when you're playing Fenelle, right? If they're at 4 or 5, it doesn't make a difference because you're swinging with 2 damage. They're both lethal anyway. But at the same time, hitting into that Combine Rusher does basically nothing. You can just revive it, and, you know, I don't really care there. So I think it was just better to swing at the Vanguard there, because if he guards it, okay, I got shield out of his hand. If he doesn't, okay, I get a free +1. So it's kind of just, what's that? It's not Hobson's Choice, is it? It's one of those. I'm not even going to try and be fancy right now. But anyways, riding into the new Ava, getting out the World is a Blue Research Lab from the deck and just adding it to the hand. And then, of course, almost forgetting to restand our order cards, as we are probably just going to be going into a very nice Persona Ride turn here with those 4 attacks. And I don't know, you know, typical grade turn 4 Ava. So activating the Persona Ride there, drawing the card, plus 10k. We've got the Combine Rusher. We don't have another one in drop right now, but it looks like we're going to be activating that Blue Research Lab, checking the top 5 there, hoping to get something that is a good attacker. But it looks like we are just going to be getting another, wait, what's her name? It's something to do with poison, right? I remember she has a very funny acronym, but I don't really remember what it is. Oh, it's Pip. It's Pip Ava. That's what her name is, because it's Poison in Paradise. So I'm just going to keep calling her Pip Eva from now on. But we get a Pip Eva off of the top 5. Definitely not what you're probably looking for. Like, if you had gotten an Obfuscate there, that would have been really cool, because, you know, that's 2 damage, because it is called off of a card ability. But it looks like we're just going to be retiring the Pip Ava. You know, deck thin is deck thin. You maybe wanted to draw into that, but it's kind of whatever at this point, as we call down the Combine Rusher there. So we've got a pretty good attack pattern here. We've got 30, 30, there's the Ava at going to be at 33, and then Obfuscate is going to be at 38. So, of course, using the Blue Research Lab, Soul Blasting 1, giving the extra 5k to that Ava, and going to be swinging for some pretty big power. So this first Combine Rusher is going to be swinging for just 30. I've got a front trigger, so 1 card guard there. And then Ava is going to be swinging, using the skill to bind the OG Ava to call out the Obfuscate. And then, of course, the Obfuscate she called, as well as herself, get an extra 5k, pushing her up to that 33k power, and making Obfuscate that really awkward number of 38. Although I suppose it's not that awkward, because, you know, you can just 2 15k shields, and it's not that bad. But of course, we do still have to do the drive checks. So I'm going to opt to not guard this. I'm at 2. Nothing really kills me here outside of, like, maybe OT. But we're going to see 1 crit trigger giving the effect to the Ava, and then another crit trigger giving the effects to the Obfuscate. And then I'm just going to be taking 3 damage, getting 3 blanks. But I'm still not very worried. Honestly, seeing those 3 blanks reminded me of that one scene in the V series where Ibuki just, like, takes 3 damage and doesn't give a shit. Because, you know, he's Ibuki.
Damage check.
But anyways, I am going to be PGing that Obfuscate, and then this Combine Rusher is going to be swinging for another 30, swinging a 15k, and that intercept just to get basically a slot there, because I got a Strega in the last drive check. Unfortunately, I have not seen a single Persona Ride in damage or in hand. This deck is actually able to recycle Persona Rides, because you call from drop, and then, of course, as you see there, I'm playing Yuika, so I can just revive it and then bounce it back to my hand. But, you know, in order to do that, you actually have to see 1 Persona Ride, but the fact that all 3 of them are still in the deck means that I can't do that. Also, I don't even think I have a Yuika yet, so it doesn't matter. Anyways, I'm going to be playing the Strega here. Just going to be checking the top 5. I think Strega is fairly decent in this deck. The one issue that it does have is that the deck is kind of soul heavy. I mean, the only thing that uses soul is Strega and Yuika. So, oh, and also the dog girl, I guess. But, you know, you don't always use her skill sometimes. But you don't really have any way of generating soul outside of rewriting. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Anyways, checking top 5, not really good, anything good there, so I'm going to be calling a Yuika. I'm hoping I can draw into a Persona Ride, because, fun fact for you all, Yuika doesn't care whether whether she's on the rearguard circles. She just needs a unit to be placed in her column, so if I Persona Ride Yuika, actually does get another 5k, which I'm hoping to do the big funny, but as we'll see, it's probably going to be happening. Anyways, just checking the drop zone, because I do technically have to call something, because I played the 3rd order, but, well, I don't have to call something, it's an up to 3, so I was checking my drop to see if there's anything worth calling. Honestly, there's nothing in drop that is better than what I have on board. I have the Strega, who's a strong attacker, I have the on-hit pressure, and then, of course, those 2 grade 1s are just 13k boosters, so they're make everything hit good numbers. So I'm going to be counting up the total number of trick and treats in my drop. Since this is my turn 4, you do tend to have a lot of trick and treats in the drop zone by then. So as you can see, I have a total of 10, meaning I'm getting 20k to the entire front row. So even without Persona Ride, I'm already hitting for 41 on my Vanguard. 2 damage to Fenelle, and then Strega is also going to be getting the extra critical because she is going to be a very strong attack. And my opponent is at 5, so they can't afford to take a single swing here. And these are going to be fairly big swings, so they kind of have to count their guard and see what the best way to guard in this situation is. But it's still going to be very, very dicey here, as Fenelle is kind of no slouch, but I think one of my buddies put it the best. Fenelle's kind of just like budget Zorga because 3 attacks. So we're going to see a 1 to pass here. Drive check 1 is going to be nothing. Drive check 2 is going to be a drawcher. So we're going to give the power to the Vanguard. We're going to hit over for 2 damage, and that should be the end of the game. So first check is going to be that OT, which is very not concerning because, you know, that's 2 damage. You have to take 1 more. And unless you get a heal trigger, you're kind of... Okay. So this game is going to keep going on because... yeah, they were supposed to be dead there, but it doesn't matter in the end. Anyways, the Strega is going to be swinging on the Obscadade there. I almost thought for a second, did I make a misplay? But no, Strega actually can use her skill as long as she's attacking grade 3 unit. So because I attacked the Obscadade and not the Combine Rusher, she's actually is able to use that skill. But of course, you know, 53 and 43, are you really going to guard those attacks? Do you care about those rear guards that much? And the answer is, of course, no. As we do see another Pip Ava being ridden from hand here, so I guess it doesn't matter that we already are out 2, yeah, because one of them got called in the first grade 3 turn, and then the other one got called during last turn, just to be a deck thin, but I guess that's the reason we didn't really care about it, we just called over it. Anyways, so this is probably going to be Ava's last hurrah here. At the same time, you know, I'm actually not concerned because I have a ton of cards in hand, and what we can't see right now is I actually have 3 PGs in my hand. Wait, was this the game? I think I might have opened 4 PGs. No, that was last game. I ended up opening like 3 PGs and then drew into another one. Well, I didn't open, but like you know what I mean. You know, like your first couple of cards, you see like 3 PGs. So I'm not really concerned here. He has 4 attacks. Yes, I'm at 5, but ideally I really only have to guard 1 attack, and then I can just PG every other attack. So, you know, not a big deal. Was that another Blue Research Lab activated? I think so. And we called the base Ava. I was gonna wonder if people still play base Ava, but yeah, I think they actually do, because you know, having multiple Persona Rides is just always better than not, in all honesty. But looks like we're trying to make some calculations once again. You can see the number of cards I have in my hand, which is something Fenelle definitely excels at. He has a massive hand most of the time, but the problem is like how much of that hand is actually shielded out. You know, you're playing 12 orders in the deck, so it's not going to be really doing much there. Anyways, we see the grade 1 order there. I'm just going to be getting the Obscadade back. Honestly, now that I'm looking at this again, we probably should have called Combine Rusher from the drop zone and played the Blue Research Lab. But I don't think it really makes a difference because I have like more than enough shield. I have 2 intercepts. I've got a stacked hand and 3 PGs. So it looks like we're just going to be calling over with an Obscadade and another Obscadade, which, oh no, to be fair, Obscadades are better attackers than Combine Rusher. Combine Rusher was only going to be hitting for 30, which is a 20k block, but Obscadades do hit for 33, which is 25k blocks. But of course, as you know, I have 3 PGs, so I don't really care. So this first swing is going to be for that 33, going to be guarding with the 15 and then a double intercept because, one, I'm going to revive something and I can just, you know, get everything back, refuel my board, just get as good attackers as I can, as we're going to be PGing the Vanguard. Not going to be taking any risks here. Thankfully, I don't have to worry about OT anymore, so I guess that's a positive there, because, you know, he's 6 damage OT into 7 damage heal. I feel like I should be more salty about that than I actually am, but I honestly don't care. Anyways, this Ava's going to be checking Obscadade and another PG, which I'm like, oh, okay. That's really annoying because that's going to make things much more difficult for me in the next turn. As Obscadade could be scoring for a really nice number, 38 there, but it's just going to be another PG, and I'm actually running out of shield value, as funny as that is, but, you know, I still have those PGs, so it doesn't matter. As I'm going to be going into my turn. Still not seeing a Persona ride. I'm down to probably, like, less than 10 cards in attack at this point, and I have not seen a single Persona ride. Like, what's up with that? Oh, well, you know, that's the nature of playing card games, as I'm going to be calling the Crispine. I think I have, like, one more order left in my deck. If I'm... No, I actually don't have any more orders, but thankfully Crispine is a really good card, so I'm just going to check the deck, shuffle it up, and then of course I'm going to be getting one from the drop zone. I believe I should have the last 2 in hand, so right now I have 9 in drop zone and 3 in hand, so that's all 12 there. I'm going to be playing this. He's going to let me draw a card, which is probably the correct play, because, you know, those are 10k shields there. Do you want to give up 10k shields? But anyways, going to be calling the Strega, checking the top 5 once again. I'm just trying to deck in at this point. I think I see 2 of my Persona rides at this point, but I don't have a Yuika, so it doesn't matter. I'm actually going to be calling a Yuika over the Yuika, and I think I'm going to actually call over that Yuika a little bit later too, because Yuika is essentially just a vanilla there unless I can Persona ride, which is kind of unfortunate. But, you know, I still do have some pretty good columns. I'm going to be playing the second Trick and Treat, counter-charging, and then just drawing another card. And then, of course, just going to play the last Trick and Treat from the hand, going to be reviving something. I technically don't have to revive something, but, you know, I figure, fuck it, why not? I'm just going to revive the grade 1 and call it over the Yuika, because it's essentially doing the same thing. This is my kill turn. I don't really have a lot of confidence in his ability to live this turn. It's possible, but, you know, I'm swinging for plus 24, and, you know, that's pretty big, especially, like, when numbers don't matter. But I'm going to be flipping over OT here, and red OT is absolutely busted in this deck. I think I've said this before, but you play red OT in anything that gets crit or, like, guard restrict, so I'm going to be giving it to my rear guard that has the crit. So we're going to swing 100 million, 2 damage, just going to be PGing it with the Elementaria there. That is all out of PGs, as we swing another 100 million for 2 damage, and that is going to be the end of the match. So, I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to listen to things, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.